Hey, it's Ben. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I titled my video, Jordan Peterson's Warning to the Church.
And I brought you all my dreams, 'cause I love you.
Many of you may know who Dr. Jordan Peterson is. He came to fame several years back because of his warning to the people of Canada and the people all throughout the world of what could happen if the government was able to tell us what we were able to say or not able to say. Compelling speech is what he called it. I was looking back through clips this week and I saw a clip from several years ago that Dr. Jordan Peterson said in a presentation, and I thought, boy, the church could really stand to hear that today. So here goes.
I'll start with a briefer story, just as a little intro to this. In the last 3 weeks, some of you may know that there was quite a political storm that emerged, particularly among journalists, over the issue of cultural appropriation. A number of journalists got in real trouble for transgressing the politically correct norms in relationship to cultural appropriation, a tremendously ill-defined and, let's call it, pathological concept. We could start with that. But the thing that was so interesting, and I think I probably talked to 10 of Canada's top 20 journalists, but that would be a reasonable estimate, most of them in print, but not all of them. Every single one of them told me that they were censoring themselves. Now you think about that, man. That's no joke. In a country like this, and these people, you'd think, well, if anyone has power, they have power. It's like, well, they don't really have power. They have competence and influence, and that's not the same thing as power. And they're bloody afraid of being hung out to dry if they say the wrong thing. You think about where our damn country is when the 10 most powerful journalists in the country are afraid to write and say what they think. That's not a good thing, man. That's not a good thing. I don't care what it is that they want to say or think. The fact that they're not only did they tell me that they were censoring themselves and that they felt that they would be hung out to dry if they said the wrong thing, but they also told me that they were being censored by their editors. And so, you know, in a country that has a great tradition, right, and a tradition that's much longer than this country has been around, of freedom and free speech and free press, for us to be in a situation now where our major journalists are afraid that if they misstep inappropriately in this newfound political landmine, that they're going to be done. That is not good, right? That's a bad diagnostic sign. Okay, well, I said that story was a little intro to the other story I was going to tell you. And then, so I've been fortunate enough over the last several months to meet not the majority of the people who ran for the leadership of the Federal Conservative Party, but most of them, including the people, the person who, Andrew, who recently won. And they all told me the same thing, which was also interesting, was that the Conservatives were afraid to be conservative, and for exactly the same reason. They were afraid that if they put forward valid conservative perspectives, that they would be isolated and mobbed and taken down. And that made them censor themselves and not be willing to speak up. And I thought, and I told each of them when we discussed this, the same thing was, if you guys are afraid to talk, you've already lost. You might as well just pack up and go home. It's done.
What a powerful message that is, and how we've seen that today in the church. Scared to take a stand on key issues that are very clear in the Bible. I would like to encourage you today to take a stand as well, to mention a few things that will happen when you do. First, God will support you. It says in 2 Chronicles 16:9 that the eyes of the Lord search to and fro about the earth, looking for the person whose heart is completely his, that he may strongly support that person. If God gave you something to say and you're a pastor or Christian leader, and you take a stand, you show God that your heart is completely his. It doesn't matter what people say, what people do, you're going to do the right thing. God will come and support you very strongly. The second thing will happen is that people will come around you to support you. The principle is throughout the Bible. Think of Moses. He didn't have the ability to speak well, but God gave him the tools that he needed. Jordan Peterson also talks about this a lot, that as he took a stand and as he did the right thing, people started coming around him to encourage him, to build him up. I've heard this story from so many other YouTube influencers. Number 3, as you take a stand, you'll start getting better and better and more articulate at what it is that you're trying to say. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is the parable of the talents. God gave 10 talents to one person, 5 to another, and 1 to a third. And he wanted to see what people were going to do with what he gave them. We see at the end that the person who was given 10 was able to use those and gain 10 more. The person who was given 5 was also able to use those and gain 5 more. But the person who was given only 1 buried it in the ground, and he didn't have anything to show for what God had given him. At the end of the parable, Jesus says, to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. And that's the principle here. As you work for the Lord, as you pursue things, as you put your talent to action, as you take a stand, you'll start getting better and better at that. So that's my encouragement to you today. Take a stand. And Dr. Jordan Peterson's challenge for you, you better take a stand on the principles and the Word of God and the truths that he gave us. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.